Hello everybody, today I am with Hedgehog Hollows. If you are heading over from that blog, welcome. If you are here and you haven't been over there, make sure that you head on over there to see the projects that I end up creating with these techniques that I'm using. I'm going to be using the stencil out of the December kit, as well as the Storm Cloud Shimmer Powder by Nuvo. This was in the October kit, I believe. So this is just a fun way that you can use a stencil, a couple different ways. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing you can do is you can just take a water bottle with a little bit of water. I use this little teeny tiny one. I filled it up with some water right here, and then I'm going to create a mist. And I'm simply just going to take some of my powder and get it on in there. And then give it a nice little shake. And then from here, I'm going to actually lay out my stencil on top of my paper, and I'm just going to mist it. Sorry about the dogs. And it gives a really pretty mist. Now, before I lift that, I actually am going to take a paper towel, and this not only will clean it, but it also will allow me to use this paper towel, believe it or not, in my journal, my art journal later. So I kind of get that really cool image on that without wasting it. And then boom, there is the image in the paper. So this is one way that you can do this technique. The other way that you can do this is, let me clean off my stencil, is you can actually take and use a dabber, creating like a watercolor off to the side, and just dab that on. Take some of your shimmer powder and just spray a little bit out. That's quite a bit actually. And then you're going to take some water squirt it down, lay your stencil out again, pick up one of your little dabbers, and just dab it on through. You can do this with acrylic paint as well, and you could do it with watercolor paint too. And what this does is it doesn't always allow it to give like that full stencil coverage like the mist did, but it will give it a more, like you'll have, you know, some shadows in there and not so much here and there. So that's another way. And you can just see the difference. Even though we basically just used water with our mist, you can see how intense this one is and how light this one is, but how much better of a coverage this one is. So that's really fun too. Favorite technique, and that is using modeling paste with your stencils. And what this does is it allows to be some structure with your stencils, and it just is awesome. But what I'm going to do that's different is I am going to mix my shimmer powder in with my modeling paste, and then I'm going to lay it out on my stencil. So I'm just taking a scratch piece of paper. You could do this on a craft mat. And I'm going to lay out a little bit of modeling paste. If you want to have a chalkboard type paint, what you can do is you can take white gesso and throw in some powder like this and then paint with it, and it will not only gesso your surface, but it will also give it a chalkboard finish, that chalkboard matte look finish. It's really cool. So I just thought of that as I was doing this. And the more pigment you use on this, the more intense the color is going to be, obviously. So I'm just going to mix that in. Add a little bit more pigment to this. And then I'm going to take, again, my base. Going to lay it out. And I'm just going to go over this stencil with my modeling paste. Now, after you do this technique, it's so important that when you use a modeling paste, you absolutely have to wash it right away. If you don't, it will ruin your stencil. And I am going off the page. And I'm going to make sure that I clean up my workspace very quickly as well. And look how gorgeous that is. So you get the depth and the texture along with a gorgeous color. And what's so awesome about this particular brand of pigmented powder, this shimmer powder, is that there is indeed a shimmer to it. So as it dries, it will shine. The final thing I want to show you, which isn't anything to do with the stencil, but just a basic, this is something that I learned, is if you noticed as I was poofing this out, and this happens with all pigmented powder, it kind of flies. If you want to keep it in one spot, what you can do is you can take a water bottle and you can just mist the spot you want it to go in and then mist it again. So I want to add to this this little champagne in the corner. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to lay down some misted water first, pop a little bit of this on, and then mist it again. It doesn't move around. It holds where it needs to hold. And I feel like I have better control over it. And now I just have to wait for that to dry and assemble my card. To see the final projects from these bases that I created, please head on over to the Hedgehog Hollows blog link that's listed down below. Make sure that you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Feel free to leave me any questions or comments in the comment section down below. And make sure you subscribe if you haven't done so. Until next time, happy crafting.